Talking about many weapons that are basically not that great in the game, it is bound that the crowbar is gonna make it on here anytime soon, or basically sometime soon. So, the crowbar, in my opinion, is a decent melee weapon, but there is a ton of people and a ton of controversies about this weapon that needs a buff, and I can definitely see why, and I do agree that it does. But at the same time, every single weapon does have only one purpose, and when that purpose is technically already finished, then like what's the point? Technically it's a one-time only thing, so like obviously if you give it another buff, it'll kind of become a little bit more powerful. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's talk about what the crowbar is. The crowbar is of course a crowbar that does decent damage, well, kind of okay. I think it's like 40ish or something like that, I don't remember, but all I know is that it has an ability to where it basically goes, if you basically take it out and go to a crate, a little box crate, and you were to melee it using the crowbar, then you would get a random utility from it, from a Molotov, a pepper, I believe a soda. I'm not too sure about the candy cane, I'm pretty sure not, and I don't think that there's any of things else apart from like grenade, Molotov, and a pepper, and a soda. I think those are just it, and that's about it. It just gives you a random utility from a box crate. Now you may be saying, wow, why don't I just break all the boxes in the map and have all the utilities basically? Well, it doesn't work like that. As soon as you were to use it on a crate, all of the other crates would give you nothing. Even if you don't have, if you use up your final utility, you will no longer have any other stuff that you can get from the boxes. So basically meaning you just used your one-time only box crate randomized loot, and now this crowbar is basically useless. And of course, if you do, for an example, have like a soda and you were to go up to one and break it, you would still get a random utility. It's just the fact that you would just get something random and it would be added to your utility. But I'm pretty sure if you were to get something from the box crate and then go to the medkit station to get some stuff, then you are able to get more utilities as well. But aside from that, this crowbar only has a one-time usage, and then it basically becomes a I guess useless, pointless little thing in your inventory, as you have a bunch of your other things that you need. Now, one of the many buffs that I've been hearing, or reworks that this weapon could use, is the fact that you can get more than one item, and I kind of do like this idea, but at the same time I think that's a little bit too much, mainly because, for an example, think of a speed armor user who's using a flamethrower with a fire extinguisher with a random defender like Elf, because that's technically the top dog next to Gingerbread, and then they were to of course get the medkit station. You're like, okay, so we have to kill a dude who's already set it up really well, and then they were to open a box crate and they were to get a random utility, like for an example a soda. That makes them even harder to kill, and then they open up another one and they were to get like a Molotov or like a pepper. That makes them even more harder to kill. Would that be fair? Obviously not. But of course, when you use it, it'll always be like, oh yes, I got something nice from it. But for the opponent's team, aka infected team, it's never good for them. So I do like this idea, but what I'm kind of thinking is the first box crate would give you randomly a soda, a grenade, a Molotov, or a pepper. And the second box crate, aka if you were to open up a second one, it would randomly give you either the pepper or maybe like the grenade. Nothing really amazingly good, just something like on the side that's really not that great, like Molotov or grenade. That would still be kind of overkill, but still, as long as you don't get the same thing twice, I think it'll actually be fine. But one of the other downsides of using the crowbar is that there's only so many boxes on so little maps. For an example, there's one on Death Canyon. Not Death Canyon. Death Valley. That's what it's actually called. Or no, Forbidden Valley. There's boxes on Forbidden Valley, Colossal Camp, what was Salty Sea Harbor, and oh yeah, I forgot Union Cave also. I think that's about it. I can't really think at the top of my head about where are there so many other boxes. No, you cannot open up barrels. It is illegal apparently. And yeah, so basically you have to be lucky with those so little maps in order to actually use this crowbar for use. And what happens if you use a crowbar and you don't pick any of the maps that have crates? Well, you just have a useless melee that can only be used to like whack infected when they're super low, and that's when the crowbar is completely useless. A buff is obviously adding crates to those maps, like on the corners of the map or just around buildings overall. And that's basically like the only buffs I can actually think of, apart from the fact of giving it another chance to be able to open up another crate, that as well. So combining those two buffs to this, I think this weapon actually could be like C to B tier at most. And currently in the game, it's sitting like at a D tier, mainly because as soon as you use its one-time only thing, it's basically useless. But at the same time, every single melee or whatever else weapon has a one-time or a few times usage. For an example, let's look at the baseball bat. The baseball bat, what's it called? Insta-kills chillers, only chillers. Now, what would happen if you took that ability away? Obviously, it would just become terrible, and everyone would say give it a buff or completely remove it. And looking at the crowbar, if you were to remove the ability, would you say to remove it or to buff it? Yes, you would, or to remove it, obviously. So, looking at those two facts, would it be necessarily good to give something a one-time only usage another buff? In my opinion, yes and no, but it's mainly like a kind of like a 60% yes and a 40% no, mainly because it does what it's supposed to do. But I guess giving it a box crate, what's it called? Breakage ability thing, another bonus one, then I guess that would actually make it a little bit more better. But for now, this weapon does necessarily need a buff. So overall, give it so that you can actually break a second box and it actually can give you something else, like for an example, a grenade or a Molotov, not like another soda or candy cane or whatever, something really powerful. And overall, just more boxes on the maps, and Crowbar might actually be B tier at that point. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys on about 42 years and have a great game.